in particular Pure OCD, which is the community name for individuals with mental or intrusive thoughts and mental rituals. I'm also a certified peer support specialist. I'm working with people around the world, providing support as they're working toward recovery. I can provide referrals, which is what we're going to talk about tonight, in finding an OCD therapist. I also have an online community where we have weekly support groups, one-on-one peer support, events, and other things. And I also run 8-week closed groups through my practice. So find out more about that at chrissiehodges.com. But today I want to bring on Dr. Patrick McGrath. Dr. Patrick McGrath.
Hello.
Oh, Patrick is with OCD. He is the clinical director. Am I
Chief
correct?
Clinical Officer, yes.
Chief clinical officer. I mean, same thing.
Whatever.
All kinds of titles, but
Janitor, whatever. It's fine.
you probably clean up a lot of shit there.
I do. Actually. When I go in the office, I'm like helping Larry. We're getting the recycling together because those engineers, they're slobs. They just leave their candy wrappers all over the place. We got to clean it up.
I bet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, tonight we're doing a video, or today we're doing a video on how to find an OCD therapist. What is an OCD therapist? And there's a couple other topics that I really want to tackle that I know that people that come to my channel are really afraid of. I'm scared to talk to an OCD therapist. I'm afraid to talk to a therapist in general, because what if they think that I don't have OCD, or what if they don't know how to
that
treat
one all the
OCD?
time. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really important topic. So first, we'll just start by saying Dr. McGrath, which I'm going to refer to as Patrick, and I have been friends for a very, very long time. We've known each other in the community. Highly respect everything that you do. Appreciate you very much, friend. And so thank you for being on here today to talk about this really, really important topic.
Well, same back at you. And someday we're going to tell stories to people about things that we can't tell right now that are just going to be hysterically funny and worthy of stand-up comedy. So that'll
give us 5 years.
5, at least. Once retirement hits for both of us, we've got some fun tea to spill, shall we say.
Yes, I agree. So, but at the moment, we're going to talk about OCD therapists. So a lot of you find out that you have OCD because you're Google searching. You're looking for things on the internet, looking for reassurance. You're scared. You don't know what's going on with these intrusive thoughts. And all of a sudden you may come across videos like mine on YouTube, or you might come across an OCD or someplace that all of a sudden you are mind blown. This is exactly what I'm experiencing, but I don't know what the heck to do now. And the simple solution that's not so simple, but I'm telling you, is you've got to get some treatment. This is a disorder that requires professional intervention. And I'm going to tell you something, you deserve that professional intervention. Please don't suffer long term, because I know all of us want to think that we're going to wake up tomorrow and it's going to be gone. We're going to wake up tomorrow and we can outthink it. But this is something that you really, really need to get professional intervention for, that you need the tools to learn how to manage this. And so today we're going to be talking about what is an OCD therapist, what does OCD therapy look like, and how do I find an OCD therapist? So let's first talk a little bit about NOCD and what NOCD offers people as far as therapy all across the world.
Yeah, online platform for the treatment of OCD and related conditions. So we do OCD, body-focused repetitive behaviors, tics, hoarding, and then the associated mood concerns and other anxiety disorders that come along with it, because OCD likes to bring friends, right? It doesn't like to travel alone, so it's not uncommon to have depression or other anxiety or worries or things that come along with it. And we train therapists to both diagnose and recognize OCD, and then to provide exposure and response prevention therapy for obsessive compulsive disorder. Be that on the mental Puro kind of side, be that on the more traditional, what you might see in movies and TV of the contamination, or be it the taboo topics like harm or pedophilia or groinals or other types of things that might be happening for people. And you and I have had the chance to work together. We've done talks together, we've done presentations together about this, and we continue to try to make therapy more accessible and to motivate people to do treatment, because you don't have to suffer alone, even though OCD tells you that you do.
Well, my first question that I hear, and what I'm going to do is just relay to you a lot of questions that I get from
Yeah,
people that
sure.
find me or find my videos. Is I think that I may have OCD because I see people's accounts and I hear people's stories, but I don't have a diagnosis. So how can I seek out treatment if I don't have a diagnosis? And where do I go to know how to find someone that's going to understand that this is OCD?
Well, that's one of the reasons NOCD exists. Our CEO, Stephen Smith, went through numerous treatments from people who didn't understand OCD, who told him to do things like snap a rubber band on his wrist every time that he had a thought that he didn't like, move away from his family because maybe they were the cause of the problems. And
Mhm.
when he finally got the treatment that worked, ERP, he realized something, that it wasn't a problem of the therapy. It was a problem of finding the therapy, having access to
Yes.
the therapy, affordable therapy, therapy that could be done conveniently. He had to travel and spend a lot of money, and even had to take some money from a family friend to be able to help get the experience that he needed to finally get to the other side of it. And so that's where NoCD really comes from, is to be able to do those very things, to
Right.
provide people with the diagnosis. So if you think you might have OCD, there's nothing wrong with coming in, and we're going to do a diagnostic assessment with you. We're going to help you find out, A, what is that's going on, and B, then we're going to provide treatments for you. Or if we can't do something for you, we're going to help you find the people who can. We're not going to just leave people
Yes.
sitting out there.
So, Patrick, you mentioned exposure response prevention, and I talk a lot about exposure response prevention, and we hear this all over the place. Let's talk about why it is that exposure response prevention is the go-to therapy for
Sure.
OCD, and what does that mean when people say the gold standard?
Well, there's a lot of different therapies out there. Some try to give you certainty. Some try to convince you that you can just do things like safety behaviors and be better,
Mhm.
right? If you're feeling uncomfortable, do a lot of diaphragmatic breathing, muscle relaxation. If you have a thought or image or urge you don't like, tell yourself the opposite. Tell yourself, no, I really am a good person, and I don't really mean that, or those types of things. We know with OCD, all those things just become compulsions, right? And then
Mhm.
people are going to get stuck now into thinking, well, how do I know this one is or isn't OCD this time? It's even why we don't go down the road of just tell yourself it's OCD, because then the next question you're going to ask yourself is, but how do I know this time it's OCD versus it's not
Exactly.
OCD? So the world is full of doubt and uncertainty. Chrissy, do you have a guarantee that you will be alive in 3 hours from now?
No, I mean, I can safely assume that I'm going to, but of
There you
course,
go.
there's always the chance that I'm not going to be,
Right, a bear could break into your home and just maul you in the next few hours, right? It
or a
is
chicken.
or a chicken. You could be attacked by a killer chicken. One never knows, right? A bunch of bananas may fall and break your leg or something like that. There they are. See, so I mean, I say it and it appears. Look at what it is. It's just amazing, isn't it? So you have no guarantee. I have no guarantee. Um, the the building I'm in right now may collapse. It is a possibility, and I accept that. I live with that. OCD says, though, that's not acceptable. So OCD will say, all the uncertainty you have in your life are fine. They're absolutely okay, except for this one,
Right.
or except for this little slot of ones. These must have guarantees. These must have absolutes. These must have answers. And there may be no doubt whatsoever about them.
No shame, no guilt,
There
no
you
nothing.
go. Absolutely, right? We have to
Mhm.
clear all of those things. And of course, there's no way to achieve that.
Right.
We haven't yet met the person who's done enough research on OCD, who's gotten enough answers, who's been unshamed enough to the point where their OCD has said, "Hey, nice job. I'm out of here now. All right, we'll see you later. It's been fun." That's not happened. So the goal of treatment is to help people recognize, I can handle whatever pops in my head. I don't need to react to it as if the thought police are coming after me, or that it's bad or awful, horrible, dangerous. I give an example all the time. I say, I could have two people in a room, one with OCD and one who's a screenwriter, and present something to them. The person with OCD will start doing compulsions to try to neutralize it. The screenwriter will say, well, I think we got a plot for a movie, write the movie, sell it, make $1 million, and now they're a millionaire. It was the same exact thing to the two of them.
Mhm.
It was the way they reacted to it that was different.
Love that.
So we really want to teach people that you can handle whatever it is that pops into your head. And the biggest problem isn't the thing that pops into your head, it's the way you react to the thing that pops in your head. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and when you learn to just be neutral to it and be like, all right, yeah, well, that was strange, whatever, okay, and move on, then you start to get your life back instead of living the life that OCD wants you to live, which is find an answer to that, clear that, figure that out, undo that. Because if you don't and something bad happens, it's your fault, you're responsible, and you're a bad person.
Well, some people may be hearing this and they go, this sounds really hopeful. And I feel really, I feel it like I want to take this next step. However, I have read that people who have OCD don't want the thoughts. People who have OCD, that this is bad, or they, that it's just thoughts. And you know
Oh, yeah,
what? I have all kinds of images in my head, but also I'm scared now that I do want the thoughts because I'm having all kinds of physical sensations. And now it feels like I'm morphing into this person that wants it. And so therefore, I don't think I should go to therapy because now I'm really scared that I'm going to find out that this isn't OCD and this is just me being in denial for who I am.
Sure. It's why I also talk about images and urges with people, because the definition of OCD is experiencing thoughts or images or urges that you find to be
Yes.
unwanted. Maybe you feel they're inappropriate and you feel like you must neutralize them, because if you don't and something bad happens, of course, it would be your fault, right? And it leads you to feel guilt, disgust, shame, anxiety,
Yes.
discomfort, whatever
Yes.
it might be. OCD can manipulate any emotion possible to get you to do one thing, which is to do a compulsion. That is the ultimate goal of OCD, because OCD eats compulsions for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So now people will say to me, but I feel like this and I feel like that. Chrissy, one of my replies to that is always, what couldn't you justify with the phrase, but it feels like,
Mm,
right?
right.
Is if you put the phrase but it feels like, and then anything can follow that, it's gonna seem real to you, right? Hey,
It's going to have some bullet.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's all that OCD needs to be like, well, it does feel like it, so therefore it could be true, and if it is, better do that compulsion, that thing to get rid of it. And if OCD knows that it needs to bring you to this level to do the compulsion, that's where it's going to take you,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
OCD's smart. It
Yes.
knows what it's doing. I don't need to do any compulsions, but once it hits this level, then I have
Right.
to. Now your
Yes.
OCD's there. And that's just going to be the baseline of your OCD from now
I
on.
love that.
And then you're going to say, but why does it have to do that? Why does it have to feel so real? Because it wants you to do compulsions. That's why. And remember, it's not a logical problem, it's an emotional problem. It's triggering your fight, flight, or freeze response. And what have we learned our entire lives when our fight, flight, or freeze response is triggered? We're in danger. So if OCD can
Right.
trigger the thing that we've learned our entire lives signals danger for us, why wouldn't we think we're in danger?
So
So
basically, OCD continues to raise the bar
always.
and not in a healthy way.
No. I mean, did you ever find that your OCD made your life better?
No.
No, I didn't think so. Yeah.
No, I'm just
Yeah.
saying like that makes so much sense to me. And I actually have never conceptualized it that way of like, if I think that it can't, or, like, this is the epitome of what I need to prove or disprove this, OCD is going to be like, hold my beer.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Yeah. Ready for round three? Here we go. Hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all, and like we are literally our worst enemy
Oh,
because
yeah.
we're thinking of the things that we need to disprove OCD, that OCD is going to be like, well,
Yeah.
thank you for giving me that idea.
Right.
It's just so sinister.
And I see in my webinars, and I'm sure you get this all the time, Christy. Christy, it's so late. I'm calling you the wrong name now. I,
You don't even
I,
know me.
I don't even know. Who are you? Who? What? Where's the chicken? Where did the chicken go? Oh, there we go. Yeah. Ah, there it is. See,
My
the chicken
emotional
was,
support chicken.
yeah, it was pecking at my leg. It disappeared from you, and I was distracted. So here's the problem, Chris. When we think we can outsmart OCD, we've already lost,
Mm,
right?
I'm gonna write
When
that
we think
down.
we can give OCD the final answer, like this is not, who wants to be a millionaire. Is this your final answer? And we're so confident, we say, yes, OCD, this is the final answer. OCD might say, great, that was a great answer, excellent. Here's the next question. And there's an
Yes.
infinite number of questions. There will never be a time where there isn't a question. So it doesn't matter how many answers you give to OCD that might even seem to be the right ones or satisfying, they will never be enough.
I love that you said this, because in group this week we were actually talking about this, and one of the things that came to mind was the more creative your brain gets, like the more that you solve something, the more creative it gets, and OCD grabs that and
Oh
says,
yeah.
"Oh, here we go."
Hmm. Yeah,
It's
like you said.
not solving the problem, it's giving OCD more ideas.
Yeah, hold my beer, like you said, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this. Let's go there now, right? Let's
Hold
just.
my beer.
Oh
We're
yeah.
gonna do a post. We're gonna do me and your faces on an Instagram post tonight, and I'm gonna put a beer on there and be
Yeah,
like, OCD says, hold my
hold
beer.
my beer. For me, it'd be hold my cider, but I like it. I like it nonetheless. Yeah,
I
sounds
would
good.
be like, hold my box wine.
Yeah. And we'll label it James and Josephine because we don't know each other's names anymore. We'll just say it's that, and then we'll have that. That'll be wonderful.
Dude,
Yeah.
this will be in the photo too.
Oh,
So
there we go. Yeah.
anyway,
Mhm.
okay, next question. And I'm just trying to pull from the things that I hear people say all the time. People resist therapy, number one, because they're scared that the therapist won't understand that it's OCD.
True.
And they're scared that they might get the cops called on them. But let's
True.
talk about real event OCD.
Hmm.
I'm scared because I'm stuck in a real event cycle, something that really happened to me, something maybe I did, maybe it's child's play, maybe it is, it was curiosity. Now, all of a sudden, if I tell a therapist is going to think I'm a horrible person, and
Yeah.
they may report me. I might lose everything. I am too scared to deal with this.
Yeah.
And this is a reason why people won't go and get treatment. What are your thoughts on that?
I just would like to know this is the card I keep in my wallet. The I has been worn off, but the rest of it says, if you can see it there, it says, "I hope my parents die tonight" on line 3, and there's a 666 on the bottom of the card as well too. I'm just curious how terrible and awful and horrible of a person I am for having carried around a card in my wallet for over 18 years that says, "I hope my parents die tonight, please God," and there's a 666 on.
Okay.
And I did this because I was working with somebody who thought that if they had a negative thought about someone in their life and they didn't say a prayer, that that person would be dead by the end of the day. So while we were working together, we were dealing with the shame and the guilt of that whole experience, who thought, just what a terrible person that they were because of this. And I said, listen, I'm never going to have you do anything that I wouldn't be willing to do myself. Right.
Mm,
So if your thoughts are going to harm people, you're either the greatest assassin known to mankind, and the government will be hiring you and
I
using you to
know.
kill people all over the world. You'll get paid $1 million a hit. Every day they'll bring you in. So you will gain, if you do a hit a day, I mean, think about it, $365 million you can make in a year just by
You can
thinking the name
retire.
of someone without doing a prayer. Wow. I
And
mean,
then
boy.
people better not cross you.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, did you just cut me off a track? What's your name there, sir, ma'am? Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, all right. You might want to
I
get
would
your
like that
affairs in
power.
order.
And
Yeah,
I don't
wouldn't that
have
be
harm
great?
OCD.
No, no, right. So, so I said, listen, I'm not going to have you do anything I wouldn't do. So I wrote, "I hope my parents die tonight, please God," and put a 666 in the card. And I said, let's see when it works. Now, you've met my parents at conferences. They're lovely people. They're still alive. That card is going to be right one day. It might be right. It might be a 2-for-1 if they're killed in a massive car accident. It could be a 2-for-oneer, or it might be a single here and then a single there. But it's going to be right at least once, at most twice. And how guilty should I feel, Chris, for carrying that card around in my wallet?
Not at all.
Yeah, but
Not
isn't
at
it
all.
terrible? Isn't that a horrible, awful thought or thing that I have going on there? Or
I mean, as soon as we get done here, I'm going to write down on a card, I hope that Patrick dies tonight.
there you go. Yeah, cool. Go right ahead.
And
The rest.
I will show it to you next time I see you.
I just finished webinar about an hour ago, and I told everyone I don't think I'll be here next week for webinar because my hope is to be hit by lightning within the next 24 hours. So
That would be like a double whammy that you told them that, and now
yeah,
I'm predicting
and
that
now
you
you're
die.
right. I mean, so
Just don't
uh,
come back and haunt me.
I
That's
won't.
all.
Hey, you'd be shocked if I did. Get it? Like little lightning joke there for you. Yeah, there you are. So couldn't resist. Yeah. Chicken, bananas and chickens. Here we go. Bananas and chickens. So, I mean, as you know, we try to bring a little fun into this, a little bit of humor, but obviously it's a very serious situation.
It's scary.
It's
It's
scary,
scary.
and we try. Here's what I say to people: I really like you, but I hate your OCD, and I'm going to be a relentless ass to your OCD. Right? I'm going to
Mhm.
make fun of it. I'm going to pick on it. I'm going to tear it down. I'm going to shred it. I'm going to do everything that I can to get you to recognize that it is just, the man behind the curtain. It doesn't mean anything whatsoever. It's throwing things at you, but it has nothing to back it up whatsoever.
Mhm.
Right?
Exactly.
Because if those thoughts or images or urges were terrible, everybody in the world experiencing them would also be doing compulsions.
I know.
But that's just not the case.
Well, and also when you're experiencing those things and you have these heavy emotions coming at you like shame or guilt or doom, I cannot go on living with myself because this happened,
Yeah.
or X, Y, and Z. That's the trap. You're stuck in the trap. And I want to tell you, if you're watching this, that you can find the help, just like Patrick is the help. You find the help of someone who is going to see you for you and see OCD for OCD. And
Yeah.
that is the whole point of finding a therapist. Y'all, just going to tell you, when I found Dr. Phillipson in 1998, it was over AOL dial-up, and I sent this email off to him talking about how I had sexual orientation OCD, and I sent it off. Of course, it took like 3 days at that point
Yeah.
to send off
Bing
and
bong,
then
bing
come
bong.
back.
That's
In the
just doing the
meantime,
dial-up sound. Yeah.
my ears were like killing me. But I
Yeah.
waited for him to write me back and
Mhm.
say, "You don't have OCD. You're the person that meets the criteria that's
Yep.
online, but you're the exception." I
Yeah.
waited for that email. And then when he came back to me and said, "Let's meet on Friday," I thought, I'm going to tell him my story and he's going to say I don't have it. And I did this the entire way through therapy. I waited for Dr. Phillipson to say back to me, "You're the one. You're the one that doesn't have it." And no,
Finally found him. Yeah. Mhm.
he was just like, "I'm not here to feed your OCD. I'm here to help you." And he was just like, "So stop saying you're lying to me. Stop asking me reassurance whether
Don't
you really have
apologize.
OCD.
Yeah.
Stop apologizing." And he was like, "Do the fucking work."
Hmm. Yeah.
And
Exactly.
that's what it took. And that's what you deserve. That's what you deserve. It doesn't matter. I meet with people all the time and I hear their stories and I know they're expecting me to be shook by them. And
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not.
All the
I'm
time.
not,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because I know what it feels like to live with this. And I also know what it feels like to deserve to get relief. And that's what we're here telling you today. So that's why we talk about this with humor, but we talk about this with experience.
Exactly.
And we want you to go get the help, really.
Yeah.
So just for time's sake, because I know we could keep going on for 5,000
We
hours.
could. We could. Yeah.
I also want to show you that my little bananas have faces on them.
Oh, that is fantastic. I love it. I love it.
Uh,
That's
so
awesome.
how can people find OCD therapists? Now, whether they go with no CD or not,
Yeah.
and we're here to promote that no CD does therapy in many places all over. Though there's a directory,
Yeah.
and I will link the blog that Patrick wrote about the directory that you can find in the description of this video. But Patrick, how do people find, other than coming to me and getting referrals
Yeah.
and going to no CD? How do people know that this person treats OCD? How do they screen
Well,
them?
we do have a pretty awesome Game Changers No CD directory, don't we?
I
Going on.
know.
Yeah. And what we did is, we've put out things to people out there in the field and said, if you want to be listening to this, A, let us know. B, tell us about you. Tell us about who trained you. Where did you do your training? What are you doing now? Tell us about the research you're involved in or the clinical work that you do. Who is your mentor? And then we gave examples to people. If you were presented with a case like this, what would be your suggestions? What would you
Yes.
do? We really wanted to be sure that people were going to show us that the proof is in the pudding, right? That they really knew
The
what they were
proof is in
doing,
the pudding.
and that they really were going to be using great ERP techniques.
Yeah. Yeah. So that directory will be linked on this video. And so, do we have international links on that?
We're going to be working on it. In fact, we're now discussing our next round of people coming into it. So we'll be
Good.
starting to go through. We've got another round of people who have applied. So we're getting together some people to start going through that and do some more approvals. So more and more people will be added to it, which will be great.
Good. Well, I'll go ahead and give everybody a couple resources here right now, other than NOCD, which is nocd.com or treatmyocd.com. In the UK, in the European area, you can go to Integrative Center for OCD. That's Stuart Ralph and Johnny Say's practice. In Spain, you can go to Alejandro Ibarra. That's Psicologo Alejandro Ibarra, complete Spanish speaking. And then, well, we'll just stick with that right now. But there's a lot more. I do referral consultations. We can find people that can help
Yeah, for sure.
because you deserve it. Any other questions you think that we should cover as far as?
Well, I'll go back to that's again why NoCD exists, right? We want to be the help. We want to be the people that are out there. And the nice thing about it is we take insurance. And I think that that's sometimes a question for a lot of people
Yes.
is how can I pay for treatment? And know that NoCD is continuously working on getting more and more insurance coverages. And we'll be working toward Medicare, Medicaid, even, those are all in the works. That's a long time because it's, government things are not quick on that kind of stuff and getting everything done absolutely correct the way it's
Right.
supposed to be done, the paperwork. But those are all things that we want to do to be able to provide people with the care that they need.
Good. Good.
Mhm.
Well, I'm appreciative of NoCD. Stephen Smith is a dear friend of mine. I have known him from the very beginning when he was cold calling people.
Yeah.
So to be able to be part of this and watch this grow and to be able to, advocate for the treatment that NoCD provides. And then of course, when they brought you on, I was like, hell yeah. And so, yes, if you're watching this, I know that anything and everything that we have said is going to make your OCD tell you, well, they said this and I have dealt with this, so that's why I shouldn't seek
Yeah.
treatment.
Yeah.
OCD, like we said, is going to raise the bar, say, hold my beer,
Right.
hold my box wine,
Mhm.
everything under the sun to convince you that you are the one that doesn't deserve this. And I'm here to tell you, and Patrick's here to tell you, you are the one that deserves treatment. You do
100%.
deserve relief from this. And if I can do it, you can do it.
And don't be afraid when you're meeting with a therapist to ask questions. Don't be afraid to say to them, how
Absolutely.
do you treat OCD? How did you get trained to treat OCD? How many people have you treated who have OCD, right?
What's the
What do the results
percentage
look
of
like?
your practice that
Yeah.
treats OCD? That's a big one. I always look when I'm vetting people, I always look at if it's 60% or more that their clientele is OCD related, then I'm always like, that's good.
Right. And that for us is, obviously the thing that we do the most is treat OCD, right?
Mhm.
And it starts with really competitive interviewing. We have a really high bar for people to be able to even get in. We do a very extensive training with all of our therapists. Then they do mock sessions with us prior to being released live. We have access to all the therapist metrics who work with us so that we can see how they're doing. We audit them, we audit their charts to make sure that they're hitting the bar that we want them to hit. We have the ability to do individualized training with people if we see that there's any things that need improvement. And the other piece is that if you come to NoCD and you meet with a therapist and you feel like maybe that's not the right person for you, maybe that match just isn't there, you can request to be moved to a different therapist. We can
Mhm.
do that to make sure that you have a good personality match to you
Good.
because it isn't just about metrics, it's also about feel and
Yeah.
personality and who you feel comfortable with. So we have those types of options also available for people.
Good. Good. And I mean, I've messaged you many a times. I have a client and they worked with NoCD and I think they're dealing with something different or they want a different therapist and you have always been accommodating with that. And that's what I love
Mhm.
about NoCD. Y'all just want people to get better. We all
That's
want
it.
people to get better.
Yeah. I want a world where OCD isn't in the driver's seat for anybody. That's
I
my goal.
know.
Hmm.
I know. And the other thing too, and thank you for bringing that up, is y'all, if you're scared about, well, I have POCD or I have taboo themes, and you're scared that the therapist doesn't know how to treat it, ask them. And you don't have to
Right.
come out with your theme at first. Come out with
Right.
something
Right.
that's similar to,
Yeah.
even just saying, have you ever dealt with taboo intrusive thoughts? Have you
Hmm.
ever dealt with, if you're dealing with POCD, use incest OCD or bestiality OCD. If you're scared to say POCD or vice versa, if you're scared to say incest, say POCD, and just gauge them. If they're like, I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
Okay, then maybe let's move on to
Yeah.
someone else, because
That's
you
okay.
do want someone who understands and who's
Yep.
going to be empathetic, because you deserve that,
100%.
for real.
And that's why we train the way we do, to make sure that we have people who understand that.
Yes. So, all right. Any final words, Patrick?
Well, Francine, it's been a joy tonight to be with you. I really appreciate it so much. And
Francine! Oh
oh,
my God.
no, Chrissy, it's been awesome. Thank you for doing this.
I know,
And
as usual.
oh, yes,
And here's your send off.
there we
Goodbye,
go.
everybody. And
Goodbye.
if you're looking for services from NOCD, go to treatmyocd.com or nocd.com. And if you're looking for support via support groups, my online community, or one-on-one peer support with a certified peer support specialist, myself or my employees, go to chrissiehodges.com. Patrick, thank you as always for coming onto my channel and offering your insight and expertise. We just love you.
You too. See you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Awesome.
You're like 20 minutes, and we were on for like an hour.
Yeah.